Hi guys, Frankie B from Frozen Sand with another episode of Working with Power Tools. And for anybody kind of wandered in here, this is our effort, Frozen Sand effort of maintaining and keeping our current third-party interest mapper makers up to date as to the going ons as our trend towards Urban Terra HD. So that way, when we get there, there's no surprises as to them being able to get up to speed quickly as to actually start making environments for Urban Terra HD, which of course is allowed. Now there were some comments made in the last, as far as the last video, let's say Play Blast goes, and going back to a statement I made many moons ago, is we're not going to hide anything. We're going to show you everything. The fails, as well as the dirty laundry, as well as things that are kind of working out. So as far as work in progress goes, Casa is never going to be done until, well, say 10 minutes before release. So it's a little bit more than just being a map. It's an environment where because of the upgrade pathway that we've tied ourselves into with Unreal 4, as they continue to improve the engine, we continue, of course, to take advantage of those improvements. And sometimes that means having to take something back to square one based on a feature addition that really doesn't work with the pathway that we are currently on as far as design goes. So this is what Casa's kind of turned into. So it's an ongoing effort that probably there will be times when you kind of look at it and say, well, that's not as good as it was the last time. So this is, of course, referring to the previous iteration that somebody pointed out, that some of the things that have improved have obviously required a reboot, a rebuild from scratch at square one, and take things into a different direction, so to speak. So in this case, what's improved hugely, of course, is the lighting solution that was a little lackluster until we hit about 4.7, in which the lighting result was rather unpredictable. Like you should have a certain expectation when you throw an entity in that you don't have to go in and turn some dials and push some buttons and do this and do that. It should just work based on its practical use. So the skylight really didn't do much. The directional light, all it did was change the direction of the shadows, but it was really a two-dimensional type of effect rather than being three-dimensional. So if you compare the lighting that we currently have, even as to the shadowing and what have you, it's much more, let's say, easier on the eyes. There's a much better blend and what have you, as compared to the previous iteration that I've done, where the difference between this and what we have now, there's no difference. It's just a skylight with a directional light, and this is what I would expect it as the result to build upon, as opposed to the result that you see in the past iterations, where it just everything kind of looked rather flat. There wasn't an ambient type of a renderosity thing going on with color bleed and what have you. Also, the interesting thing, though, is sometimes if you just leave things alone, things tend to improve or make themselves noticeable. So in this case, ambient occlusion always been kind of a let's say a bear to work with. It really worked or didn't work kind of thing. But obviously, this is without changing anything, has sort of stepped up and stepped out of the woodwork in 7. So very noticeable here. Very noticeable here as to the ambient occlusion, which is now too aggressive. So we got to go back and fix that up. Probably, though, the biggest things that have changed, not so much changed, but the need, of course, is to properly manage textures and materials, as in the form of being able to edit in place. Now, that's something that, once again, it's one of those things that you learn as you go along, based on what turns out to be somewhat of a misdirection. Not so much of a mistake, but a misdirection. So in this case here, changing something like simple as a brick as to its scale and its position relative to the object in question is, not yet available really in 4.7 or 4. I haven't really looked at 4.8 closely enough. It just came out, but you couldn't really position or rescale stuff properly without having to take the item back into, say, a 3ds Max and then rescale into UV mapping. So that was kind of annoying as far as the pathway goes. So to correct that problem, what I came up with is a thing called Uber Map. Uber Map is just a simple compositor that will allow you to be able to make changes. Okay, select that. They're using this, whatchamacallit. Let's see, where are we? Well, let's just kind of way over there. Okay, so we go over here. And with the ability to composite a material using this particular, just a custom-made material, let's say we can go to our material and bring it up. It's designed to be used as an instance material with the ability to remap the U and the V and the W as well as position of the map relative to the surface. So you can see you can move it up and down, left and right, and change the scaling, as well as the bottom to make things aligned up properly with one another, as well as a uniform scaling ability. Now, I demonstrated this in a previous video, of course, but this gives you the ability to actually change the scaling, the rotation, and what have you directly onto the static mesh, which was not available before. So this was to be able to update the materials in this case in Casa. There was a need for this ability to be able to composite the material in real time and adjust it to the surface. Now, to be able to make changes quickly, let's say, for example, everything has has its material base, so to speak. So in this case, let's say let's take dirt 2, for example, and we'll just break it open and take a look at what we got here. And our texture material in this case is 256x by 256x, which is not very good. It's well, it's okay. It actually turned out better than I thought it would, but obviously we want to update that. So how easy that is to change is just as simple as going down into our list and finding a material that we like, and then or a texture that we like. Okay, we can actually apply a material, particularly a substance, which has some scaling ability. But let's see if we can find a texture that's got that select texture only without too much bumping and banging around. We'll pull that off to one side. We'll like that, and that is 2048 by 2048. So if we select our texture and we just select it in our browser, we can just go ahead and update the texture. Select that, and then ta-da! Okay, if we hit apply now, then it's going to repaint the texture. And let's see, what texture is that sample? Is that again? Okay, is that 8? Okay, well, let's see, 8. Let's just make that 8. Oh, 8. There we go. Okay, so we could bring our specular and, of course, our normal map over, or our specular and roughness control mask, as to being a PBR type of material, and we'll plug in our normal map. Let's see, what do we want? We want red to be roughness, I guess. Okay, just to do a quick 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to be spending too much time tweaking things up. We just want to get kind of a sense of let's say improvement in quality here. Okay, so we're going to hit the go button, and obviously that changed the material to a much higher resolution. Of course, everything's kind of scrunched up, which is the problem I'm kind of discussing back a bit, because, well, if we look over here, for example, everything is scaled relative within this particular material branch. So brick has changed here, brick has changed over there. That brick's not changed, it's a different type of brick. If we go over here, you can see that this brick here has been changed, but hasn't been scaled properly to fit the particular type of material that's been assigned to it. So that's the big frustration part, which means that now to make this material look good and fit and be a proper scale would normally require bringing this object back into 3ds Max rescaling it to the texture and then putting it back out again. But what happens if, say, for example, we want to change this to a different type of material? So that's causing a lot of grief of back and forth ping-ponging as far as being able to do this type of, let's say, improvement in the texture quality. So in other words, we're looking at a lot of work as far as being able to make quick updates as being, let's say, intuitive. And that's what happened with the last iteration, I feel, is everything just kind of became too confused, too mixed up, too quick in an uncontrollable fashion. And of course, because all the UV mapping was changed to adjust to the type of textures that was being applied, it was a miserable time to make an update to it, as opposed to a material that I just went ahead and made that I felt, enough is enough. Let's just make a material that allows for that kind of adjustments. In this case, I call it Uber Matte, which is just a simple material with that if you make an instance of, you can break it out into different types of material swatches. So if we make an adjustment to our map, you can see how we can make adjustments in scale as well as rotation, or rotate it around. Same thing with the trim piece. The bottom is a different decal or different materials that have been assigned to it, but it's a standalone material, so we can change that to whatever material that we want to kind of match everything up as it goes across the top of the building. This break line, though, is something that's going to be a little bit more critical, particularly when we start using masks in breaking up this wall, so it doesn't have this straight line kind of look. And we can change the material to anything that we wish down at the bottom here, just the same as we did with the unified material. And that's where things are kind of standing right now. Foliage is going to be coming last. It's not something that you really just want to kind of throw in. For one thing, the two-sided shader is not quite there yet. So I haven't looked at 8 yet. So maybe they've apparently, the rumor has it that there has been some stash of improvements in there. But we'll have to wait and see and take a look at that. So that's where we are as far as making improvements to Casa goes. It is artistic prerogative, of course, to whatever I said yesterday. I'll change it tomorrow. With the side benefit, of course, that you get to see everything, not just what is safe to see. So I think that's really the only thing that really needs to be covered. Yeah. Also, the last iteration, something went out the window as far as performance curve goes. Everything went from a 120 down to about 30 to 25 frames per second, and I was simply not able to find where the problem area was. So it was just it was just a matter of dragging and dropping and creating another scene. Also, what's been changed, as you noticed, how we were able to map a single object, is everything has been scaled relative to its surface. So as I explained, if I used Uber Map, apply a brick, I can use that single brick object, I can scale this to size, and then everything that is attached to that as far as a brick material can be changed to that instance. So everything is scaled relative to one another. So this brick here, you can see, matches that brick over there. So if I rescale this using Uber Map, then everything else will scale appropriately and relative to its position. So I thought I'd kind of throw that out there. No, foliage will be changed. I mentioned before the fakey stuff. The things done with opacity maps, they have to go. Already done a fair number on the windows, and the shadings and what have you. This is geometry. This is not opacity maps, faking any kind of glass and window. Obviously, I did use some discoloration in the color, but anyways, I think that's enough. I don't want to go too long. Keep things down to at least a half an hour at the most. So hopefully, this will give you those who, questioned my sanity will have a little bit more information that we are heading in the right direction, and it's not done until 10 minutes before release date.